I took a loan for my sister's beauty salon. When it profited, she boasted, I achieved everything myself. I transferred the loan to her name. Now she pays half her profits to cover the debt man. Family drama hits different when money's involved. Am I right? So check this. My sister Tori always had this dream of opening her own beauty salon, like since we were kids playing with those creepy styling heads from Walmart. She'd spend hours watching YouTube tutorials and practicing on anyone who'd sit still long enough. Girl had talent, no cap. After cosmetology school, she kept working at Supercuts, making barely above minimum wage. Every time we'd grab coffee at Starbucks, she'd go on and on about her salon dreams. Just need that initial investment, she'd say, stirring her caramel macchiato with this faraway look. Meanwhile, I was grinding through my marketing degree, drowning in student loans but making decent money at this digital agency downtown. Not rolling in it or anything, but stable enough to have a little breathing room each month. And yeah, maybe I'd been eyeing that used Jeep Wrangler at the dealership near my apartment, but family comes first, right? So one night over Domino's and cheap boxed wine, I offered to help. What if I took out a business loan for your salon? Your credit score is still recovering from that Target card fiasco. I didn't mention I'd have to put my Jeep dreams on hold. Some things are better left unsaid. You should have seen her face light up like the 4th of July at Navy Pier. Hugged me so tight I almost spilled Pinot all over my IKEA couch. You'd really do that for me? I'll pay you back every penny once it takes off, I swear. The next few months were a whirlwind. Found this cute little space in the up-and-coming part of town. Previous tenant left behind these vintage salon chairs that just needed reupholstering. Tori picked this peachy pink color scheme that somehow wasn't tacky. Blush and brush, she called it. Had a nice ring to it. I handled all the boring paperwork stuff, business license, insurance, setting up QuickBooks. Bank approved a $75K loan with my name on the dotted line. Every time my phone buzzed with another payment confirmation, my stomach would do this little flip, but seeing my sister's dream coming together, worth it. Opening day was straight up magical. Tori had hustled on Instagram, building this whole aesthetic feed, and people actually showed up. I took the day off, worked to help check people in, pop champagne, the whole 9 yards. Even our parents drove in from Wisconsin, Dad awkwardly taking photos on his ancient iPhone while Mom teared up in the corner. Update. Y'all, the response to this story has been wild. Thanks for all the support in the comments. A lot of you are asking if I had any contract or agreement with my sister before taking out the loan. Honestly, nope, just verbal promises and blind trust. Looking back, that was my first mistake, wasn't it? But who asks their own sister to sign paperwork, right? First few months were tight, as expected. I'd swing by after work sometimes, bringing coffees from Dunkin' and helping with social media stuff. Sometimes I'd catch Tori looking stressed over the books late at night, but slowly things picked up. Regular clients, good Yelp reviews, even got featured in this local lifestyle magazine. Around the 1-year mark, Blush and Brush was actually turning a profit. Not huge, but enough that Tori could pay herself a decent salary and still make the loan payments I'd been covering. She'd Venmo me for the monthly payment, usually on time, occasionally with a, sorry it's late, love you, text. I was genuinely happy for her. Like, that's what family's for, right? Supporting each other's dreams? Meanwhile, I was still chipping away at my student loans, living in the same cramped apartment with a roommate who never cleaned the bathroom. But hey, sacrifices, man. Everything was cool until this dinner at Applebee's with our cousins who were visiting from Ohio. Everyone ordering those half-price apps, catching up on family gossip, when someone asked Tori about the salon. She flipped, her hair, freshly highlighted obviously, and launched into this whole spiel about her entrepreneurial journey. At first, I just sipped my margarita and let her have her moment. But then I heard, yeah, it was tough starting from scratch, but I always believed in myself, took out a loan, worked 80-hour weeks, and now it's finally paying off. Unlike some people who waste money on expensive degrees and are still paying off student loans. She glanced at me with this little smirk. I nearly choked on a mozzarella stick. The cousins all nodded, impressed, while I sat there feeling like I'd been sucker-punched with a frozen Snickers bar. Did she seriously just? The loan was in my name. I was the one whose credit score would tank if anything went south. Not to mention the countless hours I'd spent helping her set up the business, creating her website, managing her social accounts. But I didn't say anything. Just excused myself to the bathroom, splashed some cold water on my face, and gave myself a little pep talk in the mirror. Don't make a scene. It's not worth it. Returned to the table with a fake smile plastered on my face. That night, I couldn't sleep. Just stared at my popcorn ceiling while replaying her words. I achieved everything, myself, like I was some financial cautionary tale rather than the person who made her dream possible. By morning, I'd made up my mind, called in sick to work, then contacted the bank. Turned out there was a way to transfer the remaining loan balance, about $45K, to another person, provided they qualified. Tori's credit had improved thanks to the business, and technically, the salon assets could serve as collateral. The bank guy sounded bored as he explained the process. Probably dealt with family financial drama all the time. Required some paperwork and Tori's signature, but nothing I couldn't handle. I might have stretched the truth a tiny bit, telling him Tori had always intended to take over the loan once the business stabilized, sent all the forms to the salon's email with a vague, need you to sign these for the bank, routine stuff. Tori was always too busy to read the fine print. Sure enough, got the signed papers back within hours. Update. Thanks for all the comments about whether what I did was legal. To clarify, I didn't forge anything. She actually signed the papers herself but didn't read them carefully. Several of you have asked if I felt guilty about the deception. Honestly, I was just giving her what she claimed she already had, full ownership and responsibility. Was it petty? Maybe. But was I wrong about how she'd react when reality hit? A week passed. I was at Target debating between name brand and store brand cereal when my phone blew up. Tori's name flashing on the screen, accompanied by the Darth Vader ringtone I'd assigned her after the Applebee's incident. What did you do? Her voice was so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. An elderly lady giving me side-eye in the cereal aisle. Good morning to you too, I said, tossing the cheaper cereal in my cart. The bank just called about a late payment on the business loan. They said it's in my name now, that I owe them $45,000? Her voice cracked on the last part. I wandered toward the dairy section, suddenly craving chocolate milk. Yeah, I transferred it to you. Figured since the salon is doing so well and you achieved everything yourself, you wouldn't need me as the middleman anymore. Silence. Then, you can't just do that? Actually, I can, and did. You signed the papers last week. Those papers? I thought they were just annual review stuff. You tricked me. I paused by the yogurt display, considering my next words carefully. Remember at Applebee's when you told everyone how you built your business from scratch? How you took out the loan yourself? I'm just helping you make your story true. More silence. I could practically hear the gears turning in her head. But the payments are $200 a month. That's half my profits. Funny how that works out, huh? Almost like someone else was carrying that burden for you this whole time. She switched tactics, voice going soft and wheedling. Come on, sis, you know I was just showing off a little. I've always appreciated your help, clearly. I can't afford these payments and pay myself a decent salary. Welcome to entrepreneurship. It's tough, isn't it? Maybe you could cut back on those weekend trips to Nashville you're always posting about. She exploded then, calling me every name in the book, except the really bad ones. Our mom raised us better than that. How I was jealous of her success, how I was punishing her for being more accomplished, how I'd always been the bitter, boring sister. I let her rant until she ran out of steam, then simply said, "Didn't you say you did it all yourself? Congratulations, now you really have." Click. Call ended. The fallout was intense. She told our parents her version, painting me as the villain who sabotaged her business out of envy. Dad tried to mediate, suggesting I take the loan back. Mom sent passive-aggressive texts about sisters supporting sisters. I stood my ground, forwarding screenshots of the Venmo payments she'd frequently forgotten to send. 3 months passed with minimal contact. Thanksgiving was approaching, promising peak awkwardness at the family table. Then, one evening, while I was binge-watching Love Island in my pajamas, a knock at my door. Tori stood there, looking smaller somehow. Less Instagram filter perfect, holding a bottle of my favorite Trader Joe's wine. "Peace offering," she said, raising the bottle. I hesitated, then stepped aside to let her in. We sat at my tiny kitchen table with mismatched chairs from Facebook Marketplace. She poured us each a glass, took a big swig of hers before speaking. "So I've been doing a lot of thinking," she began, tracing the rim of her glass. "And you were right. I was a total jerk at Applebee's, and probably before that too." I sipped my wine, waiting. "The loan payments are killing me," she admitted. "But I'm figuring it out. Hired an assistant, extended hours on Saturdays, started selling these boutique hair products with good margins." "Sounds smart," I offered. "Yeah, well, turns out I'm not completely hopeless at business." A small smile. "Just at being a decent sister." The wine was hitting that sweet spot where honesty seems like the best policy. It hurt, Tori. I put my own dreams on hold to help yours come true. Her eyes widened. "What dreams?" I shrugged. "Wanted to buy a Jeep, move to a place without roommates. Typical boring stuff." She winced. "And instead you took out a massive loan for me and I didn't even acknowledge it." "Pretty much?" She reached across the table, hesitantly touching my hand. "I'm sorry. Like, really sorry. I got caught up in the success story I wanted to project, but the truth is, I wouldn't have any of it without you." Update. So many of you are asking if I forgave her too easily or if I should have asked for part ownership in the salon instead. I appreciate the concern. But here's the thing. Sometimes in family situations, you've got to decide what matters more, being right or rebuilding the relationship. Don't worry though, the story isn't over, and I made sure my sister understood exactly what her words had. Cost. Keep reading to see how it all played out. Things weren't instantly fixed. Trust takes longer to rebuild than it takes to break. But slowly, we started hanging out again. Casual stuff at first, grabbing Chipotle after work, helping her reorganize the salon storage room one Sunday. One day, about 6 months after the loan transfer, I stopped by Blush and Brush to drop off some social media content I'd created. Old habits. The place was packed, every station occupied with women getting colored, cut, or styled. Tori waved from where she was highlighting a client's hair, pointing toward her office in the back. As I walked through, I noticed something new on the wall near the reception desk. A framed article from the same lifestyle magazine that had featured the salon before. But this was a new piece, headlined, "Sister Act, the family partnership behind Blush and Brush's success." Curious, I paused to read it. There was Tori, quoted extensively about how the salon was a joint effort from the beginning. My sister provided not just the financial backing, but the business expertise and moral support that made everything possible, she told the reporter. "We have different skills, but together we created something neither of us could have done alone." I was still staring at the article, something warm expanding in my chest, when Tori appeared beside me, peeling off her color-stained gloves. "Surprise," she said, sounding uncharacteristically nervous. "Hope you don't mind I did the interview. Thought it was time people knew the truth." Words failed me momentarily. I just nodded. "Also, there's something else." She led me to her office, handed me an envelope. Inside was a check, a big one. "It's half of last quarter's profits, and there's more." She pulled out a folder labeled Blush and Brush LLC and opened it to reveal legal documents. "I had my lawyer draw these up. It makes you 40% owner of the salon, if you want it, that is." I blinked at the papers, then at my sister. "Tori, you don't have to—" "Yeah, I do," she interrupted. "You invested in me when no one else would. This makes it official." She hesitated, then added with a little grin, "Plus I could really use your help with the books." "I'm still terrible at spreadsheets." I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in months. "That's for damn sure. Remember when you tried to file your taxes that year and ended up owing penalties?" "Oh God, don't remind me. I thought TurboTax was supposed to be foolproof." Just like that, we were back to being sisters again. Different, maybe better versions of ourselves, but sisters nonetheless. I did end up accepting the partnership, kept my day job, but started handling the salon's marketing and finances on evenings and weekends. My student loans finally paid off, with enough left over for a down payment on that Jeep I'd been eyeing. As for Tori, she's still the face of Blush and Brush, the creative genius behind the chair. But now when people ask about the salon's success story, she always starts with, "Well, my sister and I." Sometimes the perfect response isn't about making someone admit they're wrong. It's about creating a situation where they discover the truth for themselves. And sometimes, just sometimes, that leads to something better than either of you could have imagined alone. And the loan? We refinanced it in the business's name. Both our signatures on the paperwork, everything spelled out in black and white. No misunderstandings, no resentment. Just two sisters building something together. Because at the end of the day, that's what real success looks like.